At one point during the 2007 season, Boston College was sitting at number 2 in the BCS polls and looked like the new kids on the block, led by quarterback Matt Ryan. It seemed like it was the coming out party for a program that had been on the rise since the gambling scandal in the 90s. A little over a year later, a rash decision by their then athletic director would lead to the downfall of Boston College football. From back-to-back ACC title game participants to the bottom of the ACC, this is the fall of Boston College football. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know what college football program you want me to look into next. I'm also raising money for a charity run I'm participating in at the end of September. If you're interested in donating, the link is in the description below, and I would greatly appreciate it. As the 90s came to a close, Boston College found themselves in a tough position. After a 45-17 loss to Syracuse, head coach Dan Henning found out there were a handful of players that may have bet against their own team. This would lead to 13 players being suspended, 6 of who were banned from playing college football permanently, and led to Henning resigning at the end of the season, and it was a black eye to his legacy on top of his 16-19-1 record. The man chosen to replace Henning would be Tom O'Brien, a Navy guy who was brought in to teach discipline and restore some semblance of winning for the Eagles program. After back-to-back 4-7 seasons in his first 2 years as head coach, O'Brien would turn things around in 1999, leading the Eagles to their first bowl game since 1994, the first year under Henning, and the Eagles' best record since the departure of former head coach Tom Coughlin. He coached Mike Cloud to become Boston College's all-time rushing leader and the first-team All-American, and saw center Damian Woody and Doug Guard Brzezinski get drafted in the first and third rounds respectively. 1999 saw O'Brien and co. engineer the third-best turnaround in Division I football, led by future first-round pick Chris Hovan. They would finish the regular season 8-3, finishing in the top 25, and travel to the Insight.com Bowl. They would have another successful season in 2000, going 7-5, where they would go on to win the Aloha Bowl, while in 2001 they finished the year 8-4 and beat Georgia in the Music City Bowl. For the first time in school history, they saw 2 players selected in the first round, an All-American running back William Green, and offensive tackle Mark Colombo. 2002 saw the program win 9 games for the first time since 1993 under Coughlin, and they went 8-5 in 2003. 2004 was set up to be a special season for Boston College. They would start the season off 3-0 before losing a heartbreaker on the road to Wake Forest 17-14. They rebounded with a win over UMass before losing in overtime to Pittsburgh on the road 20-17. The following week, against rival Notre Dame, they would finally end up on the right side of a close game, beating the Irish on the road 24-23. That would be the start of a 4-game winning streak with wins over Rutgers, West Virginia, and Temple to set up a crucial regular season finale match against Syracuse. All Boston College had to do was win the Big East title outright, which would have been their first conference title in school history, and all they had to do was beat a Syracuse team that was sitting at 5-5 and was coming off a 10-point loss to Temple on the road, a team Boston College had beaten by 17 points. They were also at home. With a win, they earn a spot in a BCS game. Lose, and the tiebreaker goes to Pittsburgh. Boston College proceeded to get blown out in their last game as a member of the Big East, losing to Syracuse at home 43-17. They would finish in a 4-way tie with Pittsburgh, West Virginia, and Syracuse when it came to the conference title, and they watched as the Panthers took on number 5 Utah in the Fiesta Bowl. A program-changing opportunity ended in heartbreak for the Eagles. Boston College would go on to beat North Carolina in the Continental Tire Bowl 37-24 and join the ACC the following season. O'Brien had developed an image where he couldn't win a big game. The 1999 Eagles blew a 28-point lead against Miami in what would have been a signature win. In 2005, had they beaten what turned out to be an 8-win Florida State team in their first ACC home game, they would have won their division outright. Instead, they watched as Florida State would earn the bid and beat number 5 Virginia Tech in the ACC title game. For the second year in a row, they could have won an outright conference title, but failed to do so. They would go on to beat Boise State in the MPC Computers Bowl 27-21. 2006 would be much the same, as they would lose in a heartbreaker to Wake Forest 21-14. Had they won that game, they would have won their division and played in the conference title game. After a 17-14 loss to Miami to close out the regular season, following the 2006 regular season, O'Brien left Boston College and took the head coaching job at NC State. Players felt Coach O'Brien had quit on the team, but some also felt the departure could be the best thing for the program. Boston College would win their 10th game in a bowl win over Navy the following year, their first 10-win season since 1984. According to Soarings to Glory, Joe Mikic, a student during the O'Brien era, the way he left the program made athletic director Gene DiFilippo a little paranoid, which would bite the program in the ass a few years later. In September of 2007, O'Brien was quoted saying, "The best anyone can do at Boston College is 9 or 10 wins. The sky's the limit at NC State. We're not here to win 9 or 10. The man chosen to replace O'Brien was Jeff Jagodzinski, who would be referred to as Coach Jags by many. Jags had served as Boston College's offensive coordinator in 1997 and 1998 before holding multiple roles in the NFL. He was coming off the 2006 season where he had served as the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, coaching Brett Favre. Coach Jags had always loved Boston College, and according to him, it was the only college job he ever wanted. He chose the Eagles over Auburn and Washington according to an interview he gave back in 2016. He would inherit a talented roster led by quarterback Matt Ryan. Ryan was not a star yet, as he had been coming off a 2006 season that saw him throw for 2,942 yards, 15 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, while also rushing for 4 touchdowns on the ground. It would be under Coach Jags where Ryan would become a superstar and Heisman hopeful. Boston College would start the season 7-0 and was ranked number 2 in the BCS polls, setting up a top 10 matchup on the road against Virginia Tech during a rainy night. The Eagles struggled on offense all night and trailed the Hokies 10-0 late in the fourth quarter. In a miraculous comeback, Ryan threw 2 touchdown passes in the final 2:11 of the game to give BC the victory. The Eagles silenced Lane Stadium, and Ryan entered the Heisman discussion. They would go on to win the ACC Atlantic, clinching the division in a dramatic win over Clemson and taking on the Hokies in a rematch in the ACC title game. Sadly, they would lose 30-16, but beat Michigan State 24-21 in the Champs Sports Bowl to finish the year 11-3 and ranked number 10 in the AP poll. They tied a program record for wins in 2007, a feat the program had not achieved since their undefeated 11-0 season in 1940. Ryan would finish the season throwing for 4,507 yards, 31 touchdowns and 19 interceptions, and finished 7th in Heisman voting and won numerous awards before being taken 3rd overall in the 2008 NFL Draft. 2008 would be another successful season for Boston College, as they would beat Virginia Tech at home before losing to them once again in the ACC championship game, and had their 8-game bowl win streak snapped when they lost to Vanderbilt in the Music City Bowl. Things would only spiral more for Boston College, who was seemingly on an upward trajectory, until they decided to fire their head coach. Remember when I mentioned that O'Brien's departure had made AD DiFilippo a little bit paranoid? Well, that paranoia would rear its ugly head in January of 2009. Former mentor and Packers GM Ron Wolf had encouraged Jets GM Mike Tannenbaum to interview Jags and Steve Spagnuolo for their opening head coaching position. Jags said back in a 2016 interview, "I didn't even know. A reporter called me and said, I heard the New York Jets are interested in interviewing you. And I said, I don't know anything about that. As soon as that call was made, I called Gene because I didn't want him hearing that secondhand. Gene asked, are you interested? And I said, well, I'd like to go interview. He said, you shouldn't. And I asked, why not? Jags was summoned to DiFilippo's office where he pleaded with his AD to at least let him interview. That it was the New York Jets, one of 32 teams in the NFL. He didn't think he would get the job, nor did he want to leave Boston College, but he just wanted to go through the process and get the experience. DiFilippo said if Jags interviewed with the Jets, he was fired as Boston College's head coach. DiFilippo and Jags were friends, golf partners even, but DiFilippo let paranoia lead to him making one of the worst decisions ever for Boston College football. When asked if he thought the situation could have been rectified over the next few days, Coach Jags said no, citing the fact that the report was leaked to ESPN, a leak he did say did not come from him. Coach Jags regrets how things ended and believes that had he not interviewed with the Jets, that he would still be head coach of Boston College as of 2016, and they would be one of the top teams in the ACC. Loyal defensive coordinator Frank Spaziani, who had been an assistant for 12 years at Boston College and the DC for 10 years, was chosen to replace Coach Jags. A coach who was 20-8 and led the Eagles to back-to-back ACC title games was let go for interviewing for another job. Something everyone does to see if they can maybe move up the ladder. Boston College they would go 7-6 in 2010 and missed their first bowl game since 1998 and 2011 when they finished the year 4-8. but things would only get worse in 2012 when they would finish the year 2-10. A low point for a program and their worst season since 1989 when Jack Bicknell led them to a 2-9 record. Boston College did not lack talent on the roster during this period, as Andre Williams became a star at running back and Luke Kuechly became the first player in school history to win the Butkus Award, Lombardi Award, Lott Trophy, and Bronco, and was replaced by Brad Bates. Bates spoke on the move, saying, "This is a very performance-based business. Ultimately, winning and losing make a great deal of difference." Daziani spoke on this firing, saying, "Obviously, this is a sad day for my family and me. Boston College has been my home for more than 16 years. I've been fortunate to work with some amazing student athletes. I'll always treasure my relationship with them and BC's staff. Boston College is a tremendous place, and I'm extremely thankful for my time there. I wish the current and future Eagles nothing but the best." Harvard head coach Tim Murphy was mentioned as a possibility along with Houston Nutt and Pat Narduzzi at one point, but instead the job would go to Temple head coach Steve Adazio. Adazio had served as an assistant with Florida from 2005 to 2010, even becoming Urban Meyer's offense coordinator before accepting the Temple job in 2010. In his first season as a member of the MAC, Temple would go 9-4 and won the New Mexico Bowl before falling to 4-7 in 2011 as a member of the Big East. It was a strange hire looking back at things, but things started off really well for BC, as behind Andre Williams, 2,177 rushing yards, and 18 touchdowns, the Eagles would go 7-6, make it back to a bowl game. In the school's first ever red bandana game, the following year, Boston College would upset number 9 USC 37-31, lost a heartbreaker to Penn State 31-30 in overtime in the Pinstripe Bowl to finish the year 7-6. They would fall back down to 3-9 in 2015 with a terrible offense, although their defense was 4th in the nation for points allowed per game. 2016 saw Boston College's first bowl win since 2007 when they won the Quick Lane Bowl to finish the year 7-6. 2017 was another 7-6 season, but 2018 would be where things would become extremely exciting. They would enter the top 25 for the first time since 2009, and they started off the year 3-0. They rose as high as number 17 before a loss to number 2 Clemson, and finished the year 7-5, with one game being called off due to weather. Adazio would be given an extension through 2020, but a 6-6 record in 2019 led to his firing. Steve Adazio was the definition of mediocrity at Boston College, going exactly 44-44 in 7 seasons, and going 1-17 against top 25 teams. Under Adazio, A.J. Dillon would emerge as a superstar running back, rushing for 4,382 yards, 38 touchdowns in 3 seasons, leaving as the program's all-time leading rusher and 220 yards short of the ACC record. Chris Lindstrom would also be taken 14th overall in the 2019 NFL Draft. The Eagles often had talent and they excelled at developing players, but they were never able to put together a complete team capable of winning with the best of the ACC. The man chosen to replace Adazio would be Jeff Hafley, who had served as an assistant in the NFL before joining Ohio State in 2019 as their co-defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach. Hafley's first 2 seasons were anchored by Phil Dracovic, Dave Flowers, an elite offensive line consisting of Zion Johnson, Alec Lindstrom, Ben Petrula, Christian Mahogany, and Tyler Vrabel. But after 2 solid years of finishing 6-5 and 6-6, any momentum was shattered after Dracovic fell off a cliff in 2022. In Flowers' last college football season, after alumni fought to keep him at BC and created the school's first collective, 2022 saw the Eagles finish 3-9. They went from the highest of highs in 2021, beating Missouri, to the lowest of lows in 2022. 2023 would not be much better for Boston College, as they would be embarrassed at home, losing to Northern Illinois 27-24 in overtime to start the season. Following a weather delay against Holy Cross, there seemed to be more of the away team's fans in the stands than Eagles fans, and they survived an upset bid by their FCS foes 31-28. To contrast all of that, when everyone was expecting them to get blown out by Florida State, they instead almost upset the number 3 team in the nation, falling just short 31-29. After a blowout loss to Louisville to start the season 1-4, all hope seemed lost and the program looked like a mess. Hafley would get things together, leading the Eagles on a 5-game win streak to reach bowl eligibility. But then things would fall apart, with a 3-game losing streak to end the regular season 6-6. An upset win in the Fenway Bowl over number 17 SMU, giving the Eagles their first bowl win since 2016, had fans excited for the future of the program. That was until Hafley bolted to take the Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator position this past offseason. His departure completely blindsided the players, but may have saved the program millions, as he probably would have been on the hot seat next year. Boston College would replace Hafley with a splashy hire in Bill O'Brien. O'Brien is from the New England area and rose up the coaching rankings through multiple college jobs and with the New England Patriots. After working his way up the ladder with the Patriots, he replaced Josh McDaniels as the OC in 2009 before taking over as Penn State's head coach, where he turned their program around following the Jerry Sandusky scandal. He would then become the head coach of the Texans before spending time with Alabama and the Patriots as OC once again. O'Brien has worked for guys who have won at the highest level in both college and the NFL, and both Nick Saban and Bill Belichick will try to bring that same success to Boston College. Will it work? Who knows? And will Bill O'Brien jump right back to the NFL, the first coaching opportunity that appears its head? Who also knows? Boston College was a BCS contender throughout the 2000s and struck gold in head coach Jeff Jaginski, but paranoia led to a rash decision by their then AD and sent the program tumbling back to mediocrity. It's a sad case of what could have been. What do you think? Can Bill O'Brien turn Boston College around? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.